Are you tired of hearing about mental health from a superficial view and want to hear about realistic views? Well, you've come to the right place. A space where healing is central but also normalized. Join hosts Danica and Myra as we engage in topics around mental health and keep it real while also giving you the work. Welcome to Black Woman Healing Podcast. Hey y'all, we're back with another episode of Black Woman Healing Podcast. And as usual, before we get started, I want to kick us off in a conversation. Today's conversation, I kind of want to talk about rest because y'all, my friend Danica, I swear this girl's always asleep and she swears that she's not. So I want to have a conversation about how we think about rest and how we think about sleep. Is it like something that we plan to go to sleep at a certain time? Do we just fall asleep and then we're asleep? How are we planning like our naps? Like, I'm just curious about how people think about sleep because I feel like I think about it in a very different way. And the more I talk to Danica, I'm like, I feel like she thinks about it in a very different way. So I want to hear how y'all think about sleep.
Well, I know. Go ahead, Maya.
Yeah, I feel like being a teenager, like once I got into high school, like sleep was like the best thing ever. I use it kind of as like self-care, quite honestly. Like the only reason I'm up right now is because I have something to do. If not, I would be asleep till maybe like 1:00. Like it's like no matter what time I go to bed, I could go to bed at 9 or 8, which is impossible for me now. I cannot go to bed early, no matter, like I have to take melatonin to go to bed early. So I think sleep for me is just like self-care. Like I have to sleep and I have to sleep in because if I'm not doing that, like I have to do it at least once in the weekend or it's just not, the week's not gonna go like good at all because like I just need to sleep in. Like it's like the best thing ever.
Danica, what about you?
I think that's beautiful. But I think that for me, Myra was like, I'm like, oh, I'm tired. I'm always tired. She was like, you need to get that, you need to get that checked out. But I realized I say I'm tired all the time, but I actually get really decent rest. I'm one of those people who I just don't like to wake up by an alarm. I like to wake up whenever I want to, which doesn't happen all the time. Mm-hmm. So if that happens immediately, I'm like, I wish I could just lay down and just go back to sleep. And I also take a lot of naps. And I've always been a nap person. I remember getting home from school when I was like in middle, elementary, and high school, and I'll take a nap, and then I'll wake up. Sometimes I remember waking up and thinking it was the next day because it'll be like dark and thinking like, oh snap, I got to get ready for school.
Those are the best naps.
Right, and it'll be like 7, 8 at night, and then I'm up all night. So then I don't go to sleep until who knows, like 2 or 3 in the morning, and then the cycle kind of just repeats itself where I'm staying up all night, I'm taking naps, and I'm really not getting this long period of sleep. And so I love my naps, don't get me wrong, but I think I need to shorten them. They need to be 15, 20-minute naps at the most, and I need to stop taking 2 to 3 hour naps because it's messing up my longevity of my sleep at like actual nighttime. So what about you, Myra?
I feel like my sleep has changed so much over time because if you ask me about high school, I used to think something was wrong with me because I would sleep, like I'd come home Friday night, that's when That's So Raven and all that stuff used to come on. I'd stay up like till like 1:00 watching it, and I'll sleep the next day till 2:00 and wake up like it's morning time, have breakfast, have my regular day, and do the same thing out the weekend. And then when I get home from school, I have to take a 2-hour nap. And then when I got to college, it became so different because like you schedule your classes, you schedule how things look. So I was still kind of taking naps here and there. And my sleep was kind of like you sleep when you sleep. It wasn't really nothing planned out because it's like I don't want to miss stuff. But at the same time, like I do got to sleep sometime.
Right.
And now that I'm like older, I don't take naps because I'm like, I don't even have time for a nap. And then when I try to take a nap, I'm thinking about, oh my God, why am I taking a nap when I could use this time to go to sleep? But then when it comes to going to sleep, I feel like I only sleep like 5 or 6 hours because I'm like, oh, I want to scroll on Pinterest. Like, I feel like I have to scroll on Pinterest before bed. And I'm like, I don't have nobody telling me when I'm going to go to sleep. So I'm going to go to sleep when I feel like it. So I don't know. My relationship with sleep is interesting. And at the same time, I don't wake up with an alarm. Like my body just knows when to wake up.
That must be nice.
Yeah, like I don't use an alarm. Like I don't know. So that's why I'm like wondering, because I feel like my experience is so different. Like if I have to get up at 6 the next morning, I get up at 6 the next morning. Like I don't have to set an alarm. I literally like beat the alarm. I set them just in case, but I'm up before the alarm even goes off. So I don't know.
Do you feel rested though?
I do feel rested. That's the thing. I think rest and sleep, like, because I literally had to have a conversation with somebody, like, what is rest and what is sleep? And they're like, rest is when your body actually feels relaxed. And rest means, taking time to kind of do nothing. And I feel like I make so many moments for that. That's what I replace my naps with, actually. So in those moments where I want to nap, instead I lay there and do nothing. And that feels like I took a whole hour nap for me. And I feel like that makes a difference. I haven't even thought about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I relate to that because I do that too. Like after school, like I have to watch like 2 or 3 episodes of whatever show I'm binge watching. Like I have to. Like forget I could have a homework due like assignment that night. Nope, I have to do it. Like it. So maybe that is like my naps because like I can't take naps. It's never been a thing. I have to be like drained to like take a nap. So that makes so much sense now since you said that. Like that is my naps, like me resting and not doing anything because I have to do it. Everyone's like, no, like do no, nothing. Like it has to
I like
be.
you pointed out the show thing because I do.
Yeah.
Before Girlfriends was on Netflix, my friends would be like, "What is up with you in that show?" I literally watch 3 episodes every day. It could be the same 3 episodes. I always watch that show or like Soul Food, and I don't even fully watch the show. It's just on, and I'm like, "This feels I gotta hear their voices."
Literally, I love like binge watching shows. Is just it's a part of my routine now. It's like the only thing I do.
For sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop in and introduce Amiya to y'all. So Amiya Marbles is a 17-year-old full-time high school student who is passionate about environmental justice and dismantling systemic racism. You can catch her writing poetry and are taking part in her spiritual journey, which consists of meditating, crystals, and manifesting on the weekends. She hopes to further her education, majoring in poli-sci, political science, to gain a platform that will be used to share knowledge and resources to poor communities. So we want to go ahead and kick it off and dive a little bit deeper into your bio. So you mentioned, your utilization of meditation and crystals, and we want to know how you like brought this into your life and into your journey.
Yes. Okay. So it's always been around me. Like growing up, my mom was always, either going to the crystal store or hearing meditating like music, like waking up. Like how everyone has those experiences where you wake up on Sundays to gospel music. Yeah, no, that wasn't my mom. It was always just chimes and everything like that. I never understood it because I was like, young, but either that or waking up to the smell of sage and immediately feeling like safe and comfort. And I never understood that because obviously I was young, but it was always around me in my childhood. Even books like I could stare right here and there's a book about chakras and a crystal Bible. So it wasn't until my best friend got into it like about a year ago. Like she got really deep into it where I seen like how much it was affecting like her journey and just with self-care and confidence and everything. And I was like, okay, like maybe I should listen to my mom, listen to my aunt and see like, and take this really serious because I felt like it was helping my anxiety. So I have like a lot of anxiety, very like severe anxiety. It's always been a thing when I was younger where I was like, why am I freaking out? Why do I feel like I can't breathe? Why am I shaking and all this stuff? I always thought something was wrong with me, but it wasn't until like I got into my spiritual journey and I realized that helped a lot, like holding these crystals close to my heart and holding them in my hands or keeping them around me or meditating, making sure I meditate like once a day. So I think that's mostly how I got into it, just it being around me and then seeing like my best friend, like, take her next step in her journey. I was like, okay, like I need to take this serious. So I think that's how it started.
Can you tell me some of your go-to crystals and your experiences with anxiety? Like what have you found to be like your go-to crystals?
So I started first with the casual, I always say them wrong. The amethyst. Amethyst, yes. I can't pronounce them right all the time, but amethyst, yes. Started out with that. I keep it around my neck all the time. But then once I took a trip to Miami, it kept falling. It kept falling. It just was not staying on me anymore. So I was like, okay, so this is not helping. So now I'm doing my cellulite. I heard that was really good. My best friend suggested it to me. to kind of like recharge my amethyst and figure out like which one's helping. So right now both of those are helping me a lot with my journey and with anxiety.
Nice. I actually, because I was gonna say if you aren't, I would check out Tiger's Eye. Tiger's Eye is really good for anxiety also. I love
Yeah.
Tiger's Eye, and it does so many other things too. So
Okay, I'm gonna have to look into that. I have like so many, like I have a huge list of every time when I go into the crystal store, I'm like, okay, which one am I attracted to now? Like which one is about to help me next on this journey? So yeah, I'll for sure put that on the list.
for sure.
I also had a question because I was thinking about how you talk about anxiety,
Mhm.
and I think especially during our younger selves and our younger age, we really don't know and can't identify what's happening. So I'm just interested in how did you figure out that what you were experiencing was this term anxiety?
So it was for sure freshman year. I started researching myself because like I said, I thought something was wrong with me. There's so many like tics and that I have in my life that I've always thought like I am so weird. Like, you know, like they even talk about how your feet falling asleep all the time is like it's a anxiety thing. When I was younger, I remember it happening for the first time, like very vividly, of when my foot was falling asleep, and I was like, okay, like I thought I was like being paralyzed, didn't know how that worked, but I thought like, you know, I thought I was either dying or my throat closing and everything like that. I really thought like, okay, like I am dying, there's something wrong with me, like I just need to figure out like I just need help, you know. And it was always like that weird thing where I never wanted to talk to my mom about it because I thought I was dying, like and I didn't want to scare her, which is so crazy because it's like, you know, like talk to your mom about it. But yeah, I realized it freshman year just doing my own research and trying to find help, like or figure out what I can do to stop feeling that way. Because once I got into high school, it was like I want to do this. I want to go to that game, or I want to talk to that boy, or I want to be friends with that, you know, that new girl. But it was like, I can't. And once, you know, my mind made up that it couldn't, I couldn't. And I wanted to like get over that.
Yeah, so it sounds like researching, like you kind of
Yeah.
have to do some research to
Yeah,
see what.
you have to find out like for yourself. And I've seen that other kids were going through it. Like I was watching YouTube videos of like the older kids, and they were talking about it, you know, talking about depression and anxiety. And I'm like, yo, like, okay. Like that makes so much sense. Like I relate to that.
Yeah.
So
Thank you so much for sharing your personal experience,
yeah.
Amaya. Um, so this next question is just like how you're feeling, your overall thoughts and feelings surrounding just COVID-19 in general.
Yes. Okay. So obviously insane. Like I still remember March 13th and thinking that I was going to be out of school for 2 weeks and I'll come back. Uh, it was insane watching everything, and I feel so bad for the people that lost, like, you know, their loved ones and their friends. But for me personally, I really do think I needed it.
Mm.
I was When I think back of who I was a year ago, it kind of makes me very like sad because I've learned so much in like being by myself. I learned that I needed to be by myself. I learned that I needed to stop letting my peers, like, you know, people at school and or even teachers or adults like having a say into my life and who I want to be. And I think like that was like the biggest thing like with me. So how I feel about COVID-19 is like I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for quarantine, and I'm grateful that, you know, I've like it started my journey on like with self growth. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Thanks for that perspective. And thinking of like if what have been your top challenges attending school during this past year during a pandemic? And
Yeah.
how have you dealt with this like super different transition?
Yes. So what I really want to mention that everyone thinks I'm crazy when I say this. I thought a lot of people relate to it. I've talked to about it with other people, and they usually say they don't. But I've always had trouble in like elementary, like learning how to learning how to retain information. It's always easy to sit there and listen to what the teacher is saying, but are you getting it? Are you understanding it? Do you want to understand it? So I didn't learn how to learn until middle school. Like it just I like retaining the information and like understanding like the benefits of like taking advantage of my education. So I feel like since the pandemic, I forgot how to learn. I will sit at the computer all day and like, and listen to what the teacher is saying, make sure my assignments are turned in and everything, but am I learning? No. I think that's like my biggest challenge right now with school during the pandemic. I feel like I haven't learned anything since March 13th, other than what I felt like I had to go out and get the knowledge. So everything that I have learned during this like past years, because I wanted to go get it. So I think that's like my biggest like challenge with COVID-19 in like school is just taking in the information. And now it's like I feel like I feel like a robot. I feel like I'm sitting at the computer doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm not actually like retaining the information. So
yeah, you're not the first high school student that I've heard that from. I heard that from like all students, and I've been also hearing about this experience of also having to learn on their own. So a lot of the girls I work with have been doing like random science experiments or like taking the time to actually learn about themselves, which I'm very grateful for, because I feel like in high school we don't take the time to figure out who we are because that's not a class. So
exactly,
you don't have the time for it, quote unquote, right? But that's the most important time to do that work. And so I am thankful to hear about, more girls taking the time to learn who they are. Like school is important, but I feel like I'm gonna be that mom that's like, so what do you know about yourself? Like school is great and everything. I don't really care about grades. What do you know about yourself? So I'm appreciating you being like, you know what, the things I do want to learn, I take the time to learn. That's what's important, because those are the things that actually do stick.
Yeah, and that's exactly why like I was like the pandemic was really like I'm grateful for it. I feel like I would have never took that time out to learn about myself and still learn.
Yeah. I'm curious, how are you staying in contact with your friends and, your classmates?
Yeah. So I feel like my experience is very different compared to others because before the pandemic, I was the new kid and I was like really depressed for like the first couple of months when I first came because I didn't want to be here. I wanted to go back home. I wanted to go back to where I knew everything and I knew what was happening. That fell in like lines with my anxiety, like not knowing what this is and what that is, or not knowing who these people are. So the first couple of months I didn't have friends. I was very like an introvert. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to like just didn't want to put myself out there. But right before COVID, I did. And when I put myself out there, I did. It was crazy. Like I wanted to be that person that was friends with everyone, talk to everyone, wanted everyone's energy, because I do that. I take everyone's energy and I make it my own, like, and everything like that. So when COVID happened, I realized, like, just learning about myself, that I am not the person that wants to be out every Friday night and that I enjoy being by myself a lot. So staying in contact with my friends is always, I'm the friend that make sure that they're okay and that if like they need me, I'm here. But I probably see my friends maybe once a month. I'm for sure that type of person where it's like, okay, like I seen you last month, now I'm gonna need my month by myself, and then next month I got you, we can hang out. Like, so yeah. So I think staying in contact, obviously through social media, but even my closest friends, like we don't talk every day, and stuff like that. But if they ever call me and they need me, I'm there. So I think staying in contact like that is the best way, just figuring out what works best for you. Yeah. So I think that's like how I've stayed in contact. I think the only person I probably talk to every day is my best friend from back home. And that's just because that's what we were used to before I moved. So we just kept it going when I moved.
Nice. So you found your own little balance that makes sense and works for you.
Yeah, I had to. I was like, I can't, because I haven't figured out the art of not giving everyone my full energy. I just need to step away from doing that. So instead I just step away from the people,
Have you I'm sorry, I'm thinking of like, have you been able to build new friendships in the middle of the pandemic, like brand new people that you happen to meet, whether it was social media or whether it was, I'm not sure, like new people though?
Yes, actually, so right after the pandemic, I got accepted into a program through called VIPS, and it was gonna be this huge thing where you stay on campus with all these new kids from other different schools, but it obviously did not happen. So we were stuck on Zoom. But I found this group of like 5 kids, and it was nice being around other Black kids because, you know, in Kentucky it wasn't like that. I didn't have a lot of Black friends. So having a group of, you know, Black friends where we relate and they understand me and everything was awesome. So I connected with them obviously because of the program. Like, we were on the phone every day, which was a lot for me. I did not know what was happening, but um so yeah, I connected with them, but other than that, I have not with anyone else through social media. I've kept it kind of like, you know, to myself and everything like that. So I would say it's very hard though, because I've kind of wanted to like go out there and like find new people that didn't go to my school, because I realized like when I met the other group of friends how like awesome it is like to know that people like that isn't from your school. But no, I haven't. It's hard. Like, how I was just like, how are you supposed to like through social media? It's so like you get. I'm so tired of getting the best versions of people, because obviously that's what social media is. You only see like the best part of like, you know, of them and what they show. So I think making friends through the like social media isn't the best way for me. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm curious your thoughts about how you feel like parents and like loved ones can show up for teens during the pandemic, because I feel like teens' experience in the pandemic is very different from that of adults and very different from that of kids.
Yes. I would say my biggest thing is please, please, please try to understand this. Fake it if you can't. Listen. Please just understand and listen and be open-minded. There is so much that is changing, and there is so much that's like happening in our heads. And I feel like my whole generation like just wants to be understood. And it's so hard because we're not being understood. And people are taking what they like a stereotype of our generation. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard it, like the whole Gen Z, like, oh my goodness, this and that. But there is like a lot of people in our generation that just wants to be understood and listened to. Because I feel like I'm like that too. Like, it's crazy because like I have a supportive like system around me and family and all that stuff. But it's just like it's just if you feel like you're like the outcast or like you're the weird one, it's hard to find someone to understand that. So I would say just being listening and understanding.
Definitely. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay. So today we talked about just like your overall experience in being a teen in the middle of a pandemic.
Yes.
And although, you know, things are opening up, in my opinion, there's still going to be a continuous transitions happening over even the next year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this episode was really like we needed to have this.
Yeah.
But when doing takeaways, every episode we do something that the listeners can have to take away. So what would you say your takeaway would be for the listeners today?
I think my takeaway for the listeners today would to be open to the new, be open to the old, and just, you know, put yourself in someone else's shoes and in their feelings. I think my biggest thing with like walking, you know, outside, you know, in the public and seeing other people is that we really do need to bring more empathy wherever we go. It's seen as like a pride thing where I'm not going to show my emotions, I'm not going to feel. That's really what our earth is in dire need of, is empathy. And so I think that's my like biggest takeaway, is to be understanding and, you know, feel. It's okay to feel.
Yes. Thank you so much. That is most definitely one of my favorite things to say. It's okay to feel those feelings. I love that. Thank you so much, Amiya, for joining us for today's episode. I cannot wait to release this. I'm hoping that not only teens, but everyone can enjoy this episode and get a different perspective just on how, you know, you're doing and maybe other teens are doing during this pandemic.
Yes.
So, y'all, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. To wrap up today's episode, I want to talk about things that we're enjoying lately. So, I shared about Jill Scott's podcast, or I'm going to share about it again because she did this episode where she talked about grief and loss, and I really enjoyed that episode. It's just something about her and her friends. Like, I feel like I'm listening to like aunties or something, and like the two ladies on there, I didn't realize I knew who they were. And one of the ladies actually listened to her music. And so I was like, wait, I actually know who these people, because at first I thought they were just random friends. And once I put two and two together, I was like, oh, wow. And I like how Jill Scott, sometimes she has very different perspectives that I don't agree with, but she don't care. She's still going to tell it to you. So that's what I really love about her. Like some of the things she says, I'll be all right, that was a little off the wall, but she gonna make sure you hear it and you hear her side. And then her friends do not care about disagreeing with her. Like I love listening to them. And Ear Hustle is back. So I know we talked about Ear Hustle a whole lot when we first started the podcast, but they're back a little bit more consistently now. So back listening to Ear Hustle. The last episode, they talked about like Black lives. So, it's back. So check it out. Danica, what you been listening to?
You know what? Interestingly enough, I've been listening to like calm and relaxation music. Like usually if I'm doing work or doing notes or just doing a lot of like stuff that I need to catch up on, emails and stuff, I listen to regular music. Like I got my little playlist and stuff, but for some reason, like I'm just in a funk right now. So a lot of stuff is not hitting like it usually hit. Mm-hmm. So like the normal things that usually bring me joy are not necessarily. So I don't know. I just been listening to calming music and it makes me feel good. It actually weirdly helps me focus a little bit more too. Cause sometimes, you listen to your music, you get too into it. Next thing you know, you over here singing the song. You like, let me look at this video because I forgot what it looked. You start doing some other stuff. So when it's the calming music, it's helped me to focus a little bit better. So that's something new that I've been doing that I actually enjoy. Yeah.
So you mentioned being in a funk. Can you tell our audience some of the things that you've been doing to maybe help yourself that maybe they could also utilize?
Yeah, so I have been taking vitamins. I have never been a person who thought the need to take vitamins just
what
because
kind of vitamins? I'm about to judge you.
You know what? I'm new to this vitamin gang, so y'all can help me and you can too. I'm taking multivitamins.
Oh.
I'm taking a probiotic.
Oh.
And my friend, she just gave me like a NutriBurst, like the liquid multivitamin.
Okay.
And she gave me a few samples and I took those and that actually felt like those helped really good, the liquid vitamin. Versus the gummy multivitamin I was taking. I don't really feel like it really done too much. But so what you gotta say?
So I'm anti-multivitamins, and so y'all follow me. I'm anti-multivitamins because we don't know what we need. So if you're taking a multivitamin, you might be taking stuff you don't even need. So I think it's important to go to your doctor and have a conversation about what you might need. I know off the top of my head, most Black people don't have vitamin D. So I know you can go out into the sun. You can also take an extra supplement for that. But I highly suggest that we really are going to the doctor and talking through what we actually need, because you could be taking a multivitamin and ain't even doing shit because you don't even know what you need. And some multivitamins don't even have what you need. So I think taking the time out to really assess for that is really important. And at first I was that person, like I was faithful to my multivitamins. And I thought about it. I was like, why am I taking this? Like, is it really even benefiting me? Because then I started thinking about my skin, and I'm that person, I don't run to the doctor. So I started researching on my own. I was like, when it comes to skin, zinc and calcium are important. I don't really eat things with a lot of calcium, and I know I don't engage in stuff that has zinc in it. So I was like, those are probably the two vitamins I need. And then I started to see improvement in my skin. And that told me, girl, why are you taking a multivitamin? You taking all this stuff for what? And then I researched vitamin A and what that does for you. And I was like, maybe I need to add this in. And then I started to see some improvements in my energy. So yeah, I really urge y'all to, if you don't go to the doctor, because like I said, I didn't go to the doctor. If you can go to the doctor, go. But if you can also take some time to research, like, what am I experiencing? And kind of writing it down. And then, okay, maybe if I go to the get this vitamin, maybe that'll help. And then take that vitamin and see how it changes your body. So do some research there.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think that's very useful. I think like I'm just not a person who likes to take all of these pills and all of that. Like it just feels like, okay, if my doctor's like, oh yeah, you benefit from these 3 different, vitamins, that means I have to take 3 pills every day. And I'm not used
mixed into one though, because I thought the same thing. Sometimes they're mixed into one. So I had learned about the benefits of elderberry, which was something I was like, I need that in my diet, and then zinc. So like I said, zinc is not something that was in like my regular intake. So I went to Target and I was like, let me find something that has elderberry and zinc. Lo and behold, elderberry and zinc, and then it had like vitamin something else in it. And I was like, oh, that worked out perfectly. So I think it's based off like what you might need. They might have like a mix. So don't knock it till you try. You might find something. Like once you start really looking into vitamins, you'll be like, oh, okay, here's some mix.
Yeah. It's most definitely worth it. I need to, take better care of myself. So that's something I've been doing. Vitamins, and then also I go to therapy. I have my therapist I see weekly, sometimes every other week, depending on, sometimes my schedule do be a mess. But weekly, I have been telling people if I don't want to hang, like I notice I start being a little bit more passive and like letting people get away with stuff, like certain just like going like somebody, oh, let's go here, like, and I'll be like, no. And if they say like, oh no, I really want to go, I'll be like, all right, cool. Like now I've been more prone to be like, no, I'm actually not, even if I don't have nothing to do, just because I feel like that's what I need. I need that sometimes. So just a little, and I'm just, being able to talk to friends. Myra, she checks in on me a lot, which I appreciate. So just a few different things I've been doing. So I'm gonna get through this. I'm gonna get through this like we always do.
Yeah, I just wanted to have our audience kind of hear some things that are helpful for you, because you never know who's having a similar experience and if what they might need to hear. So thank you for that. And I want to thank y'all for tuning into this week's episode of Black Women Healing Podcast. And share with us some things that you're enjoying in life. Just drop it in the comments somewhere. We want to hear some good stuff. All right, so I'll talk to y'all later.